Hey guys, it's Bad Snacks here, and today is the first of a series of beat breakdowns with free gem tracks attached to them. So in case you missed it, Spectrasonics just put out a bunch of new Sonic extensions, and I am collaborating with Spectrasonics to show you guys how I use those extensions in my workflow, and then in those little beats that I'm making, I am putting them out as jam tracks, and you guys can download them, and you guys can remix them, rap on them, sing on them, jam on them, whatever you want, and then you can submit them under the hashtag SESnacksTracks. This is going to be hashtag SESnacksTracks1. And all of the information is in the description below, but you'll have until the end of the month to submit, and then we will feature some of those submissions in the next video. So anyway, this is the first of the series, and I'm really excited about this one because it's kind of like an upbeat, funky, spacey, dancey kind of vibe. This one in particular uses a lot of Unclean Machine, which is probably the Sonic extension that I use the most at present. So I'm going to kind of show you some of my favorite patches as of right now, and I'm just super excited to show you. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. I started with a drum pattern, and these are all basically audio one-shots that I manually clicked and dragged in. They're from largely this pack by Ryan James Carr, who's an awesome drummer that I found on Instagram through a friend. And yeah, it started off with this little tom fill. And then the first thing that we got are these two kicks that are slamming that 4 on the floor, and I beefed it up with not just a sample from Ryan James Carr, but also a Monty Booker sample. And then I put some hi-hats on the upbeats. Put a snare on the 2 and the 4. Then I added in some more hi-hats just to get those subdivisions, and these are like slightly open hi-hats. And later on in the track, I did this manually. This isn't like the best way to do it, but it's just the way that works for me. I took like a bunch of really thin hi-hats, and I basically just threw them on these subdivisions, and then on the individual channels, I just brought down the volumes of certain ones so they kind of like sound like ghost hi-hats. So it kind of sounds like this. And now we're like really riding. We're cruising. In terms of mixing, I threw an Ableton drum bus on it, and when I throw the Ableton drum bus on, I also throw the transients down, which does this. Works every time. And then for some extra sauce, I threw the Good Hertz Wolf compressor on there. I have it on old school crunch at like 79%, 55% lo-fi, 76% compression. And it sounds like this. And then we have that kind of vintage quality. So that's basically the backbone of this track. I just wanted to set up a framework of a kind of groove to go with, and that's going to kind of set the framework for the rest of the track. So the next step in this is finding a patch to lay down some chords. So I pulled up piano on the radio, which sounds like this. Or, with the click of a button, anyway, I'm going to go to scene 1, and I'm going to bring the timbre down. Ooh, which is already really nice, like that detuned kind of quality. I'm going to turn the crackles down. I'm going to change the attack a little bit. I'm also going to bring down the low cut. So I already laid down the chords. So then with the chords, it sounds like this. And then the next thing that I want to put down is actually my bass. Solid Bottom Subs is a sick bass patch. So I really like scene 4 because I just like the roundness of it. I'm going to mess around with the shaper. And then that in context. And then just to transition, I made like this little riff here using 3 different patches, and all together they sound like this. So the first of those patches is the click tone tape, which is actually a patch that I used in the Spectrasonics demo because I really like it. And this one I threw the reverb amount up, the blur up. I really love the reverb up mode. It throws the kind of tail up an octave. So there's that one. And then I also paired it with another click tone tape. And this one you can hear is like a little bit more bell-like. It's got like a little bit more density to it. But same thing, through the reverb up. And then there's Ascension of the Flutes, which honestly, this might be one of my favorite patches of all of the Sonic extensions right now. I've been using it a lot. Every single one of these scenes has so much personality and character. I love this. Honestly, any of these would have worked for this. And then I just grouped them and I panned them so it sounds like they're shooting across the headphones. So in context. So then the next part of the beat is kind of taking the same chords and then just articulating them slightly differently. So I just wanted like a plucky thing. So I found this patch called Crocs Don't Scare Me, which sounds like this. Just the release a little bit. And then to layer that, I found another patch called Fixed Bell Ratio. And I'm going to just bring the release down, as well as the reverb. And then with a little Ableton sidechain. And then just for a little bit of overkill, I also put this Casio breath pad. Ooh. Right in there with a little bit of sidechain as well. And that sounds like this. And then to just build a little bit extra energy in this section, I found this patch called Hi-Hat Fast Roller, which is a sequenced hi-hat. And I just set it to 8th note subdivisions, but you can hear it's already sidechained without a sidechain on it. So how did I do that? I went into custom controls, went into effects, and I used Seismic Pump from Seismic Shock. It's basically like a wave shaper as well as an OTT compressor, like mixed into one. So you can hear how it just does all this kind of manipulation. I just wanted it on quarter notes. And you can also change the tone of it. So I had it on throaty. I also had the shape on kicker. You can do things like ramp. That one also is cool, but I liked the idea of like having it sidechained to like a fake kick essentially. And then the other thing about this is that I actually mapped the decay knob to my MIDI controller. You can right click it and you do MIDI CC learn and then you just twist the knob accordingly and then boom, there you go. And so it sounds like this. So in context.